Everyone, Coach Dave March here for another episode of the Growth Mindset Podcast. Now, if you've been following us for a while, great. Love to have you back. If you're new to us, I am your host, David March, author of the book Vision in Action, as we bring on different entrepreneurs, different business owners that are turning their vision into action every day with their own business. Today, we have a special guest, Blake. Blake is the president and the owner of the business RicketyRoo. RicketyRoo is a SEO agency. Blake, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience here?
Sure. Thanks for having me. My name is Blake Denman, the president and founder of RicketyRoo. We're a SEO agency. We've been 100% remote since mid 2018. I founded the agency February of 2009, so a little more than 16 years. And we just do a lot of super nerdy, fun stuff for our clients.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. With the SEO, I mean, there's so much noise I feel around that. It's hard to really um get a good handle on it. I mean, there's people that are talking about like AI SEO or ChatGPT SEO. There's just a lot of noise around SEO. I know it's good for my business and everything, but give me some insight into all these things that are going on right now with SEO.
Yeah, especially with the advent of LLM models, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity.ai, all of it, it's kind of like, is this a whole new separate thing that we have to do, learn and adopt? My very short answer would be like, if you're doing really like pretty good traditional SEO, you're not going to have to do very much in order to get your content or products and services to kind of get recommended and ranked within the results of a large language model.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That's great. I mean, I think some people are concerned, like, oh, now I need to change everything, but I don't think that's the case.
Not necessarily. Like, there's some foundational elements, and if you're doing that, it's like, okay, well, there might be some nuanced things, like you may need to add a couple things here and there, but it's not like, oh, we need a whole separate playbook for this one thing. Like I remember years ago, like when Alexa was all the rage and voice search was going to kill SEO, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, SEO is finally going to die, and voice search really never picked up. And then the same thing's happening with ChatGPT, and like, oh my gosh, SEO is going to die. And then when you look at like the grand scheme of like all the metrics, it's like the impact on search so far has been, it's like, I think about the most recent study I saw from a conference deck that happened last week in New York City. I think it's like 1.3 to 1.7%. And it's
Hmm.
mainly like top level informational type stuff. So,
Hmm.
you know, that could change in the future, but I'm an eternal optimist. So I'm not a doom and gloom kind of guy.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, I think that there's a level of optimism you have to be an entrepreneur. It's just it's part of the DNA. I mean, I tend to think the business is sort of like a faith based activity. It's like you really have to believe that things are going to work out. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. And how do you deal with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Before we hopped on here, we were kind of chatting a little bit, and we were talking specifically about this. And like within the industry that I work in, like you've got the client side, which, they're even with contracts and all that, it's still business, stuff can happen. And then you're working against a black hole, which is constantly evolving and changing. And we never refer to ourselves as experts, even though we have a lot of experience, been doing this a very long time. One of our philosophies within the agency is to remain teachable. And the second I think I absolutely know everything about this one thing, then that's like the day I start dying, just because I'm not open to other opinions, or I think I know it all. Like my ego is not my amigo.
My ego is not my amigo. I like that. I like the little quotes. I'm always a fan of these things. So that's a good one. Yeah. I mean, and in terms of leadership in general, your ego is usually not your amigo, right? I mean, once you start thinking that okay, you're the leader now, you're all high and mighty, you become a bad leader because I think it was Peter Drucker. It's like your job is not to um be the leader in charge. It's to charge up pretty much your employees to empower them to make them feel like they're in charge, because that's how it's got to work. I mean, one person can't do it all. This is what it's about in terms of creating a team, creating a culture that is going to be, you know, fun and great. It's one where it's a collaborative environment. They're not looking at you as saying, okay, I got to come to you because I don't know how to do this myself. It's about, you know, empowering people. What are your thoughts on, creating a culture and creating a leadership around that?
Yeah, 100% agree. So we've been 100% remote for quite some time, and not to like I'll humble brag a little bit. Like we have a really, really good culture. I may have set like the initial tone, but then like as the team has gotten bigger and we've hired like the right types of people within the agency that match like our vibe. It's like that culture, just like, a culture in a petri dish has grown and flourished. If there's what I normally use as like the terminology is like there's cuss words involved, I'll switch that up. But like as the leader, the old saying like turds flow downhill, like stuff flows downhill.
Oh yeah,
Same
yeah,
thing
yeah.
same thing happens like from a leadership role. Like if I show up to a all hands meeting and I'm just a negative Nancy and I'm just like being super negative and blah, 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 like just shaming people left and right, like just being a mean type of person, that
Mhm.
rolls downhill. And then like that culture starts becoming toxic. And then
Yep.
if I start blaming them, like they just, they're just this and this and this, it just reverberates and then it just like kills the culture. So regardless of what might be going on within or outside of the agency, like I need to make sure that like when I show up for the team, like I'm putting out there what I'm really hoping to see within. And it's not like projecting or putting on some song and dance and being like a cheerleader. It's just more of remaining calm, cool, collected, and like not necessarily criticize when things go wrong. It's like, okay, where were the fracture points within this that we can train or fix or like and repair it and move on and not let it kind of just keep going and going and going. But at the same time, like when I talk about like how I've set up us as a remote agency, if there's no secret, it's all listed on our about page. I just started thinking like, okay, if I want to attract really good talent within my industry to my agency, because my overarching goal is I'm trying to build the agency everybody wants to work at. So in order to do that, I need to attract really good talent. Compensation is a part of it, but it's not all of it. I thought like, okay, what would attract me to go work for a company? And that's what we rolled out.
Yep.
And during our interview processes, like, here's how we operate. Like, I even explain, this isn't, it's remote work. It's not a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you're in your, wherever you're working at. I don't care when my employees work as long as they get the work done in the week that was scheduled for them. And they have complete autonomy with their schedules because I'm hiring adults, not children. If
Yeah.
like I have a 2-year-old daughter and like, I have to kind of direct her and guide her and help her with a lot of stuff,
Of course, 2 years old.
right? But I'm not going to do that to an employee or to a director or VP within my or an SME within my own company. Like that would just be me treating them like a toddler because I don't trust them. It's like, okay, when we're hiring them, it's like they're taking ownership of their position. And it's definitely helped way more than it's ever hurt.
Yeah, well, one of the most interesting things I've learned being kind of more a career transition coach and, working with people to make a, career transition from one company to another, or even as a recruiter, in my background in recruiting, I've noticed that actually as big as compensation think it is, as people think compensation is everything, like, I get a really good compensation package. And of course it's important, but actually the aspects of like quality of life matter more. If it's going to be like a toxic work environment, if there's going to be flexibility, those type of things matter more, right? I mean, if let's say they had a 2-year old and maybe just recently had some kids and they need to take some days off, or you need some kind of situation to happen where you could take care of these kids. There's a boss that is restrictive of that. Now, that doesn't really create that environment which makes them happy. And of course, the idea is that, but it's sometimes hard to get across. But getting happy employees actually increases productivity. It's like sometimes it's like hard thing that they like, what does it mean? Just you just want to make people happy and make more money? It makes no sense. But I mean, to a certain degree, you're creating that environment. When leaders create the environment that's collaborative and allows them to have the higher quality of life, that is what actually brings in the top talent and retains top talent. Like what are some things that you've seen retain top talent and that sort of thing?
Yeah, good question. What we've done is, like, I believe on our careers page, I think it's the biggest word that's on the entire page. It's balance. And, like when we hire a full-time employee, like it's a salaried position. We do have pretty good benefits too. Benefits definitely can help. Like we pay for our employees with dental vision. Then we have a 401k plan with a 5%, it's a 1-to-1, it's 100% match up to 5% of their annual compensation. But like some of the other bigger ones is usually within a lot of industries, like when you say full time, that means like 40 hours is the minimum. 50 plus is usually what's expected. And that's why they're putting you on salary, because they want to be able to get more of your time to get more productivity out of you. What we do is we don't even track time anymore. We stopped doing that at the end of Q2 of last year. We had enough historical data on time tracking to know how much time every deliverable we do for a client is going to take on average. And we schedule out, and this includes billable and unbillable work, internal meetings, stuff like that, checking email, like that's unbillable to a client unless it's related to the client. And we schedule out 35 hours of work per week per employee. Now, if someone's really good and they're just having like a day where they're just cranking, like they can crank it, they can just motor through a lot, like a lot of it, and everything is QA'd and approved according to our like SOPs. Someone who's really efficient with what they do, they'll be able to get it done within 31 and 32 hours easily, more often than not. And if they do that, from there they have a couple options. One is they can sign up for the weekend, like, I'm out of here. They don't have to tell anybody. It's like, oh, they got their work done and they're taking the rest of the week off. Cool. Or if they have a quarterly, rock that's professional development related or marketing related that they want to work on, they have carte blanche to work on that too. It's really up to them. It's not like, oh, you got your work done much faster. Congratulations. Here's more work. That doesn't really
Yeah, that's the
incentivize
thing.
them.
That's the thing that happens all the time, right? It's like the curse of doing a good job,
Mhm.
right? Well, you were able to get your 8 hours of work done in 4 hours. Great. Now we're going to give you another 4 hours of work so you can get your 8 hours. This curse of doing a good job. I mean, I hear that all the time.
Yeah. And so then it kind of like that's a demotivator for someone who's really, really good. It's like, well, I'm just going to take my time on this because I know if I do it really fast, and it's like, well,
Correct.
yeah, I know the last couple of years there's been like a more like somewhat more of a push for like a 4-day work week, and that's been
Yeah.
available here since we went remote. And what I've found is more often than not, through like our historical time tracking data, that when we were time tracking, usually what I see is way more of like fewer hours per day, but more days per week. Unless there's like some type of plan, like they've got, an upcoming trip, or they want like a 3-day weekend or a 4 or 5-day weekend, then they'll get all the work done in like 3 to 3.25 days and then sign off for the rest of the week. But on regular, just kind of like normal life type days, winter, they don't have anything planned. Usually we'll see like on average 5.5, 6 days of like being worked, but just fewer hours per day. Maybe one day and this happens to me too. Like I'm not immune to this. Like you wake up and like you are just mentally not there. You're just like, I I need to like do nothing today. Like my mental
Yeah.
capacity is, I'm just having a little bit of brain fog, and I'm just not in it today. We rolled out uh last month or a few months ago. It's like a reset, but we call it a reset, where on days where there isn't a paid holiday, like in a month, employees have like what's called a reset, where it's like, hey, some days like you wake up and you're like, I need a reset. So then they have that additional time right there. And even like our like paid holidays, they can be flexed. Like if a paid holiday is coming up on, let's say Cinco de Mayo was a paid holiday that just happened on Monday, but they have they can choose to like, oh, I'm going to work on Monday instead, but I'm going to take Friday off instead. Like they can flex that holiday later in the week if they want to.
Flexibility is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a roo set. It's like it's a good branding opportunity.
Yeah, most of our internal things, like, we have, like, brand related names to them, or it's related to The Office somehow, because like, I'm a big fan of the TV show The Office.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, all those things add up. All those different things add up, and that's what creates a really good culture. As we kind of wind down here on this episode, of the Growth Mindset Podcast, I'd like to see, any books that you recommend, any good books you've written or read recently. Yeah.
There's quite a few, depending on the subject matter.
Yeah. No,
What
there's yeah. Well, there's one you were saying before about manifestation that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forget the author's name. So the name of the book is called My Magic, and the author, he's a neurosurgeon, and it's the neuroscience of like how manifestation actually works. And he does talk a fair amount of crap about, The Secret, like when The Secret was super popular.
Yeah.
It was like Oprah's Book of the Month Club. Like, I remember I was into it. I watched it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make a vision
Yeah.
board.
Who didn't?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
manifest all this, right?
Oh yeah.
And he breaks down like what actually happens within the brain, which networks are involved in like an overarching TLDR. And it's way more detailed, and it's a really good book to read. He was, how I found out about him was that he was on Dak Shepard's podcast, Armchair Expert,
Hmm.
about about almost like 9 months ago, 9 months to about a year ago. And it's way more about like through meditative practices, setting the intentions of like the person that you're becoming,
Oh
which
yeah.
then influence the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind dictates 80+% of our behavior in the
Hmm.
real world. And that's how you kind of influence the subconscious mind, is like through like meditating practices to like kick those gears off and to get those things in motion. Because then on the flip side, I know people, I'm sure imagine most people that might be listening know at least one person in their life that suffers from Murphy's Law, where it's like, oh, anything bad can happen, like happens to me, and everything, and then they just have like lots of bad things happen to them. It's like,
Yeah.
there's the evidence of like you're literally constantly thinking about bad things happening to you. And then guess what? The subconscious mind is like going after it, and it's like seeking those things, even though there might be something completely on the opposite side right next door, but you're not looking for that.
Yeah, which is interesting point there. I remember going to a Tony Robbins seminar, and you talk about the reticulating activating gland, and it's something where you kind of find what you're looking for, right? And he would do this like exercise. It's like, okay, look around, everyone, look around the room, look around the audience, look for red, look for red, look for red, look for red, look for red. Okay, everyone, did you find red? Okay, good. Now, where did you see green? Where did you see any green? And he's like, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And so, yeah, you find what you're looking for, essentially. So, yeah, no, it's a great call out for sure. Great. So Blake, no, really appreciate you jumping on here. As we talk about different ways to work around culture and high performance talent. Is there a way people can find you if they want to learn more about you and your company?
Sure. So our company website's RicketyRoo.com, RICKETYROO.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, X, and Blue Sky. My handle's the same. It's my full name, Blake Denman. There's no dot or anything in between. Um, Probably the best way to get in touch.
Cool. Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Blake, for joining the Growth Mindset podcast. For now, we are signing off, but we'll see you guys again soon.
Thanks for having me.
See you guys.